Hello, this is Sabrina Taro 808, bringing you, as usual, philosophical enlightenment with the tarot cards to explain a bit what's going on the cosmos and how it's reflecting in our lives based on the traditions that believe in cosmology and that the position of the planets actually has an influence on ourselves. And even the moment that we're born, our horoscope, our birth chart, we are receiving certain codes from the planets or from the position where they're at and the energy that they're throwing to the earth, and that gets like an imprint in our lives and gives us like a blueprint of the spiritual lessons that we are going to go through, the tools that we have learned from past lives, which are highlights, which are things that we already evolved from and that we bring into the table to help others, and also the things that we come here to learn about, which are our challenges, the things we are to overcome. And I use several decks. I've been debating if I show you all the cards, if not, but I guess this is the kind of message where you're just gonna have to trust me from what I saw. And what I saw was we have from 3 decks of cards, 4 actually, we have very predominantly the King of Cups 4 times. This is a beautiful, it's called the Arcana Tarot. It's all based on and I think, and we are also going through, we have the Sirius star, which is in position today, right now, in the portal of the Lionsgate. It's a Lionsgate, but it also has a dog. So it's an energy of the lion and the dog as well. And this tarot is based on emotional support dogs, and I think it's resonating a lot on regards to letting us know what has happened from the last Lionsgate, from when the pandemic was starting, 2020 or 2019, to right now, and what we're stepping through, the threshold that we're stepping through, and the reason for all this madness. I'm sure that there hasn't been a single human being who hasn't been affected by the convolution of the planet, who hasn't seen their nerves put to test, who people, from whatever is your weakness, whatever is your things that you needed to strengthen, and by that I mean whatever was your weakest point, has been definitely been triggered. We have been going through trials and tribulations, and the trials and tribulations have been different to each of us depending on what are our weakest points and the things to work on. And the reason for the King of Cups being so present and so strong here is the lesson and the key to what's going on, the spiritual lesson that's been going on. We've all been going through the most difficult emotional times for all of us in different ways, in different shapes, from losing our jobs to losing relationships, to losing loved ones, to the pandemic, to losing a lot of relationships and friendships because we were put into strained, to losing our minds in the sense of what does it mean to live in this world, what does it mean to work, what does the definition, or what does it mean to have a balance between work and life, that a lot of us have been awakened to after being able to work from home, the WFH, which is a whole new lingo now in the West. Is this job for WFH. It definitely has shifted all of our notions, and the sense that, and in the setting that we've been by ourselves, and that we have been made to go into the hermit mode, and that we have been distanced from our support groups, and we've had no other alternative than to go within and feel our pain. Because a lot of people, it's easier to get distracted of our pain and of the things that we need to do, the emotional work we need to do, when we are surrounded by distractions. And when distractions that either are placed by life because that's what we're dealt with, or things that we just look for distractions so that we don't have to do the work. But I feel because this is not about thinking, it's about feeling, because it's philosophical and it's esoteric and it's connecting with the heart, which is the King of Cups. And also the first card that I had was the Queen of Cups, along with the Five of Pentacles upside down. Five of Pentacles is about being left out in the cold, having a harsh financial situation or emotional situation. It could be from stress. Sometimes it doesn't mean, I mean, you could have a lot of money and still feel you're in the Five of Pentacles because you feel you have no connections, or maybe you're going through difficult, through a trial, and you could have all the money in the world and you could feel like this if you're going through hard situations. And with the Queen of Cups, which is the most compassionate of all the cards, which is an embodiment of the Miriam energy, of the mother of all, the Kuan Yin, of Mother Miriam, Mother Mary. This is the reason why we've all had to go through difficult situations, was to awaken ourselves to the heartache of others, to connect globally to the heartache of others. Sometimes, or not sometimes, I think the frequency that we're changing or shifting from or moving from is an energy where we've been like in an automatic mode, just working. We wake up, you go to your job, and because everything's structured and nothing has fallen down, we've become a bit cold on regards to the heartache of others. And by having gone through so many difficult situations for each of us, or whoever's watching this, and you might be feeling, why all these things? What does it all mean? Why so many trials and tribulations each week, or every 2 weeks, or every month? There's something you need to be sorting out, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. The reason for this is to shed the harshness that we had. We had to go through these painful lessons in order to evolve spiritually. And what I feel that all of this, and the reason why it has been for so long, for so many, is because it's awakening our hearts on regards to having compassion to others, to having more compassion towards others by, for example, having a bad relationship, a love relationship, and maybe you're always very cool-headed, and you always had good relationships, and you might have, because I did get this like the Judgment card as well, where before we were quicker to judge other people because we thought we had all our ducks in order, but then we are presented with lessons that where we thought we were very strong, all of a sudden we feel anybody can become weak, anybody can fall down to be tempted and fall to temptation and make the wrong decision, and end up in the wrong place, or it could be a series of situations why people keep making wrong choices and end up in bad situations. And it's a lesson for us to be less quick to judge others on regards to why they are doing things in a wrong way, or even when they are being hurtful to others. And now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to, by having understanding here, like with the Queen of Cups, that by having understanding of the heartache of others, and maybe that heartache that they had, maybe it was in their family setting, maybe it was when they were growing up, they had heartache, and that made them the Nine of Wands, the wounded warrior who's acting up with the self-defense mechanisms. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to stand your ground with the Seven of Wands when someone is being hurtful. I had here the Five of Wands, when they're being conflictive, when they're being hurtful because they're hurt and then they want to hurt other people. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't stand your ground. Yes, of course, stand your ground. But the lesson here is to be more empathetic to the pain of others, and maybe realized, or even there might have been lessons for people of, you were quick to judge people who are homeless, or didn't have anything to eat and you thought it was something that could be easily solved, and all of a sudden you're presented with a life situation where you actually suffer hunger, and you realize, or it tenderizes your heart to the pain of others by having gone through that situation. Because one thing is to have some sort of level of empathy with others, because you can place yourself in their feet. But another thing altogether is having gone through that situation and knowing exactly how it feels, because you went through it and you know how heart-wrenching it was. And that definitely is another level. Like when you go to group therapy and you see other people who have gone, and you talk to other people who have gone through the same situations, definitely is not the same as, is not the same understanding even of people who could have made a whole career in psychiatry or psychology or in regards to the topic, but they never went through that lesson. So it's not the same empathy. And I think we were all given during this 2 years of, or maybe before then, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, lessons for us to take for the rest of our lives on what suffering means, of what it means to have the structure of our lives broken down as a society as well, because we've been in very harmonious times since basically the 70s or the 80s. And now with this, having all gone through uncertain economies, the whole world being on uncertainty, and whatever that uncertainty has brought forth in your life, and how it has pushed all the buttons of your insecurities and your weakest points and the things that make you break down, the more you can empathize after this with the pain of others. And hopefully it's going to bring an energy to the world of philanthropists, and philanthropists that are not just going to, it's not going to be only the feeling, hopefully, for like, this is for the collective. Some people are going to go through these lessons and they're going to graduate, and some others are not, and they're going to have to go through the lesson again. But the lesson is to empathize with the pain of others, because we've all been resonating in pain in different ways, all as a collective, and that is bringing, and we have all experienced uncertainty at the same time for a long time, and that has worn us to the bone, in an emotional level, in a physical level, and of course in a spiritual level. But that has polished us as well, like diamonds. And it is for those that were able to connect with the heart and were able to make the right choices, because this is not only about going through difficult times and then letting it go. No, it's about having we've made the right decisions. We've gone through the lessons. We graduated with honors. We might have been given like the easy choice, and we didn't take the easy choice. We took the difficult one, or well, maybe you took the no, I don't think so. I think there was no way to go through the lessons. If you try to cheat on your spiritual lessons, they're going to bring them up again. So we all have to face our fears, and by making the right decisions, by still being honorable, by still making the right decisions through our heart, through careful analysis, but also through putting our decisions through the heart, and through expanding our compassion towards others in that sense. And of course, that, as I said, that doesn't mean that by having compassion to others and understanding that they might have had difficult childhood situations that make them be the way they are, yes, we give them compassion back, but also we cannot forget to give ourselves compassion. That's the first step to be better. There's no way to avoid that. We should have boundaries with them, but by each of us having gone through difficult lessons, and each of us having gone through a specific one, from now on we're able to help people in the way that we suffered, like people that go through emotional therapy, like people that never had any mind problems or had never had to deal with depression or anxiety. And I think the whole collective have been experiencing mental problems. Now we see people with mental problems in a totally different way. We can all realize that anybody under a certain amount of pressure with the certain circumstances, and they can just lose it. We can, because so that puts us in a position of learning to be less judgmental and more helpful. And it puts us in a position as well to not only see, like, yes, you see someone in a difficult situation and say, oh, yeah, send them wishes and prayers. No, it's also about this, because we're in the Taurus season. It's your dreams need a practical plan, full moon in Taurus. And yes, we all need a practical plan to make our lives better. But also, if we've gone through difficult life lessons and we know how it feels, that is not only about sending prayers, is just to getting practical and putting our money where our mouth is, and trying to direct our life purpose into helping people who have gone through difficult situations like ours. And it doesn't mean that it has to mean that you're going to become a philanthropist, or that you need to build an institution to help like women in domestic violence, or people who've lost their jobs, or people with mental disabilities, or people with physical problems, or whatever kind of problems you were facing with, or legal problems, or whatever it has been. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to build an institution of philanthropy. You might not be in the capacity to do so, but it's the more, and it's about resonance, it's about vibration, but the more you learn through the wound how it feels, and you can connect through the wound with others in the specific way that you were given this spiritual life lesson, the more you're able to, or the more you connect to them and you help them in the right way at the right moment. Maybe it was a kind word, maybe it was just helping them in the way you knew you needed help when you were going through that same situation. And as I said, maybe it's just helping a person one day. Sometimes you will know what it means in that sense. But that is going to bring you rewards. For all the people that have gone through the lessons, who have gone through the suffering and understood that suffering also is, not that nobody welcomes suffering, but that through that suffering we evolve spiritually. And that's such a hard life lesson, of course. And it's so difficult to understand. But through that heartache, because it's only through the heartache, and I had the sun again. It is through the heartache, it is through the difficult times, through the pains, the growing pains, that we realize we're part of something bigger, and that how much kindness goes a long way, and that we are here as a collective. Some people are unfortunately in a place where the hurt that they received, the Three of Swords that they received, becomes a source to give others pain, to become conflictive, like in the Five of Pentacles, and give others like a hard time. And that in itself is a lesson that they need to overcome. But it's important that for us to realize that yes, it's okay to put our boundaries, but it's not okay to prolong that. Like if someone brings you harm, of course you're going to defend yourself, and that might mean you might have to strike them back in order, because they attacked you first, and that's okay. But what I mean is to block or to stop the cycle of violence there. not to align yourself with the violence, but of course defend yourself, but bring compassion into the situation. And sometimes that compassion might mean not talking to someone because they're being very toxic, and they're not reasoning, and there's no way to talk to them, and that might be, maybe there's some people you're never going to be able to talk with them. They're never going to be in a mental state where you can actually have a nice, pleasant conversation. That's going to happen in life. That's very possible. And it's a loss for the people that are hurt and keep hurting others. And of course, it's important to protect yourself. What I'm going to is that in not sending them hate back, but just on the distance, from the distance, while you're safe, while they're no longer harming you, sending them love, sending them compassionate love, in the sense that you know they're lost, in the sense that you know they haven't learned the lessons, in the sense that you know that they're going to keep bringing damage to other people around them because they have not awakened. And that in some lifetime, we were that person, maybe. Maybe in some lifetime, and maybe it's something that we haven't seen in ourselves. That there's also lessons for us to overcome, and then there have been people in our lives who have been patient with the lessons that they know we had to mature, that we had to go through, and that in that sense, and of course there's different levels. It's like they say, like being in first grade, you can compare yourself to the behavior of a student in first grade as you would one in university, right? So it's about having that compassionate about those that are doing damage, that they're lost, that if they have damage in their heart and they're creating damage, is because they only have hurt in their hearts. But that the end game is, of course, to find goodness in our heart, to connect with that goodness, to connect and realize in a kind of like a Hindu Vedic kind of way that there's a part of creation in all of us, and that there's a part of us in the others, and to understand that we're all going through lessons, and to realize that on the long run, because that's what we're feeling right now, on the long run, by acting well and by overcoming the spiritual lesson, we are given rewards, and we are going to come into the Queen of Pentacles. We're going to feel security, we're going to financial and emotional and feeling blissful. Those things are going to come for those that have done their spiritual work. And I feel like most of us, only the people who have been very toxic constantly and who have been the cause of heartache for others are going to keep vibrating in that but they're going to keep doing what they keep doing. But for the rest of us, we're going to get rewards from these lessons, from having dealt with the toxicity of others, and having made the best decisions in the best way by connecting with our heart and with our values, and by respecting ourselves as well. But as well, it's important to keep like that undetached, unconditional love, even for those that are lost, because God forgive them because they don't know, like it says, like Jesus says, God forgive them because they don't know. So it is about being forgiving with the King of Cups for those that do not know. They're going to keep in the darkness. They're going to keep hurting themselves and hurting the people around them, and that by itself is their own the karma, until they learn the lesson. But for the rest of us who had to be dealt with toxic people and toxic situations, and who had to stand their ground and to had to defend the path of the heart, of respect, of balance. We're all going to get our rewards, thankfully. They're going to come in. We're finally going to step through the rewards that are coming after this Lionsgate. It feels that for those that have done the work, the emotional work, we're stepping into calmer waters. We're getting rewards and better moments and better times and the karmic rewards, definitely. Blessings that we're going to receive. And because goodness aligns with goodness. If you took good decisions, if you used good discernment, if you used your heart to have good discernment in the decisions and the lessons that you were given, inevitably you are aligning with the energy of abundance, of joy, of stability, of harmony, of peace. So that's what's coming in for you. And I also had like a last message. I know it's very messy, my table today, just like my mind, just like the energy of the world. But that mess, all those complications, all that uncertainty is for us to connect. It was for us to, there was a reason for all these lessons. And the way we were discerning with each of the lessons is how we're going to be rewarded. And a bit of the answer, the key to this is in Proverbs 3:13. Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. And this is with the Ace of Wands, which is creation. And I feel like once all this process of painful process from the last 3 or 4 years, depending on your birth chart, we're going to find joy by understanding that it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the lessons that each person has to go through, and to unattach ourselves from trying to not to take it personal. Not to take it personal from the people that are causing you pain, but of course put boundaries. But the lesson is to have that wisdom, to know that they are lost, and by not, like, if you know that they are behaving the way they're behaving because they're lost, because they haven't found themselves, because they're not mature enough, and that is a process that they have to go through by themselves, and that there's nothing you can help them with. Just like probably God looks at us every day. We find joy in understanding that it's all part of the natural process, and that we are always gonna, even if we bump with toxic people in our lives, we're always gonna get the rewards of being good, of doing good, because goodness aligns with goodness. And the energy of God is of goodness, of heart, of love. And that energy is always stronger than toxicity. Always is the healing energy, as the body is always regenerating itself and healing itself, because life in itself is regeneration, it's harmony, it's balance, it's prosperity, it's everything. There's a perfect balance to everything, and that's what we're part of. Once we understand that and we connect to that, and we understand that in essence we are connected in our heart to that energy, that God-like energy that many cultures refer to as having God within in our heart, in the lotus of our heart, like the Brahmins believe. By connecting in that everything, that there's a bigger understanding, that we have a bigger part in life, and to know that we are connected to goodness by being good, by asking as well forgiveness. And then being good is not thinking, oh yeah, I do everything right. No, it's, we know that we make mistakes, but we ask for forgiveness, and knowing that there's always that chance of forgiveness and of an amendment, atonement, and that atonement is available to all of us because we'll come here to learn. We understand that we're part of that school of the heart, and those that are not passing the lesson, they're gonna pass the lesson at some point of another, maybe not in this lifetime, but that's okay. That's part of their process. And but we become joyful by knowing that, by understanding that it's all part of the plan, and that God and goodness never leaves us, because we always have that opportunity to connect with it with our heart, and that by feeling pain in our heart is how we connect to the pain of others, and that's how we grow spiritually. And last, with this one, commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will succeed. If you're going through trials and tribulations of whatever kind, just commit yourself to the, when I mean to the Lord, not only in the biblical sense, but, and not that, and even if you don't believe in the Bible at all, it means in the bigger sense, in the universal sense, commit to love. Whatever you do and your plans will succeed, because the Lord is love. So I hope that brought some clarity as much as it could. Align yourself with the heart, with this Lionsgate. Know that every painful thing that you went through is going to turn into a blessing, and that it had a purpose. And that unfortunately for the people that have not learned their lessons, they're going to keep suffering. There won't be beautiful blessings and karmic rewards for them. They're going to be reaping the same negative energy that they're in. But just feel compassion for them, because they do not know. Forgive them, for they do not know. But you do. And that will bring you joy and alignment with the sun, with the Leo energy, with the old benefactor, that's the cosmos, that it's always regenerating, and that the truth of it all is that the whole planet and what we know as creation vibrates in love. So keep vibrating there.